प्रविष्ट विष्णु पारशतरशतश्मर श्रील भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट विष्णु पारशतरशतश्मर श्रील भक्तिवेदांत साई महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट विष्णु पारशतरशतश्मर श्रील भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट विष्णु पारशतरशतश्मर श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोक्षर बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री रघुनाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुनि देवी गंग देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य Yes, YouTube. If you look on my Facebook, I made a live video which gave the link. I think also here on the Gaudiya Kirtan live page, I gave a link to my YouTube channel. So yeah, you can find it there. Just go to my personal Facebook page and scroll down until you see something that says, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I made a little video. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Oops, sorry. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Tvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhinedustam Sarvabhuta Hridaya Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskrityam Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridantastoya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam Nashta Prayeshvavadreshu Nitam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam Bhakta vihina aparada lakshay kshiptashtakamaditaranga madhye kripa maitam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste charana ravindam. Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All right, let's begin. One second, just see who came. Kagaraj Dandavat Pranams, Raseshwari Mataji Dandavat Pranams, Prajumna Prabhu and Mantramurti Mataji Dandavat Pranams, Ganga Didi Dandavat Pranam, Haribo. So first we read about Jambudvip, right? In Bhū-maṇḍala, we're in Bhū-maṇḍala, which is the middle planetary system, and within the middle of Bhū-maṇḍala, there are 7 islands, which are like 7 coverings of a lotus flower. They go around each other, and the middle island is known as Jambudvip, and it's the middle of that lotus flower in Bhū-maṇḍala. And then we read about in Jambudvip how there are 9 varshas, like different divisions of land, and then we read all the prayers of all the inhabitants of the leaders of the 9 varshas and the special personalities in each one of these varshas, their prayer. We read Shiva's prayer in which varsha was Shiva in? Shiva was in of course, Ila-vrita varsha, the one in the middle. And then Lord Shiva's prayer to Lord Shankarshan. And then we read prayer to Hayashisha by Bhadrashva and Bhadrashva Varsha, prayers to Lord Nrsingadev by Prahlad and Hari Varsha, like that, and so on and so on. One second. And then we read about, so within Jambudvip, there's all the different varshas, and finally we read about Bharat Varsha. And then we heard about, and that's where we are. We're in Bharat Varsha. And so then we heard the demigods glorify Bharat Varsha. Let's just read what their prayers were. Since the human form of life is the sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in heaven speak as follows. The demigods glorify Bharat Varsha. Birth in Bharat Varsha is suitable for worshipping Mukunda. These are the demigods speaking. What pious acts did these human beings perform? Was the Lord pleased with them that they attained birth in Bharat Varsha? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births there and execute devotional service to Mukunda. Why would the demigods be praying for that? What's the problem in heaven? Heavenly enjoyment hinders remembrance of the Lord. What is the use of performing difficult sacrifices, vows of austerity, and acts of charity on earth and attaining temporary residence in heaven? In heaven, there is no remembrance of the lotus feet of Narayan, and our memory is carried away by excessive enjoyment of the senses. In this material world, we have the right balance of suffering to be able to not forget the Lord. But in heaven, it's just, there's so much enjoyment that you can't even think of the Lord, because you're just like, so good. One kshana, one moment in Bharat versus one kalpa, one eon, or more than an eon, in Brahmaloka. Even living for a kalpa in Brahmaloka, one must take birth again. But even a moment's stay in Bharat-varsha is more valuable. Though life there is very short, people can elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness by fully surrendering onto the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus they attain Vaikuntha, places unfit for residence. A place where there are no rivers of sweet topics about the Lord, where there are no devotees engaged in service on the banks of such a river of piety, no festivals of Sankirtan Yajna to satisfy the Lord. Such a place should not be accepted as a residence, even if it is the planet of the demigods. Note, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is stated that it would be better to live perpetually cramped within the airtight bag of a mother's womb, if one could at least remember the lotus feet of the Lord, than to live in a place where there is no opportunity to remember his feet. Those who attain a human body in Bharat-varsha and have developed senses for executing the Sankirtan Yajna, but do not take to devotional service, will again be bound up like birds trapped by a hunter. The Lord accepts the offerings of those who offer oblations to the demigods by considering them part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Because he is complete, he offers them the benedictions they desire. Though such devotees approach the Lord with material motives, the Lord saves them from their desires by his special mercy. The Lord gives his lotus feet to a devotee with material desires. The Lord offers material objects to a devotee who requests for them, but he does it in such a way that the devotee will not ask for more benedictions again. The Lord gives his own lotus feet, which include all desirables, even to worshippers who do not aspire for them. May we take birth in Bharat-varsha as humans, if we have any pious credits remaining. Thus we can remember the lotus feet of the Lord, who personally comes there and expands the good fortune of the people. All right, so we read about the Jambudvip and its varshas, which is, as I mentioned, the middle of Bhū-maṇḍala, which is the middle planetary system. So we're in the middle planetary system. Within the middle of that, it's like a lotus flower, and there are 9 islands, right? Did it say? No, 7 islands. There's 7 islands. And the middle island is Jambudvip. But then there are 8 smaller islands that surround Jambudvip. Svarnaprashta, Chandra Shukla, Avartana, Ramanaka, Mandaraharina, Panchajanya, Singhala, and Lanka. When the sons of Maharaj Sagar were searching all over the world for their lost horse, they created 8 islands by digging the earth. Thus I've described to you the divisions of the varshas of Jambudvip as they were instructed to me. All right, so that's the end of that. And now we're on chapter 20. I meant to do this recap yesterday, but there's problems with the internet. Wait, let's just make sure everything's okay now. Dandavat pranams, Madhavi Didi. Okay, so after describing the varshas, the different parts of Jambudvip in detail, Shukadev Goswami begins to explain the varshas of the remaining 6 dweeps. Because remember, Bhū-maṇḍala has 7 dweeps, 7 islands, and they're all surrounding each other, like a lotus flower. So, characteristics of the 6 islands of Bhū-maṇḍala. Now I shall describe the remaining 6 islands of the Bhū-maṇḍala and their dimensions, characteristics, and forms, beginning with the island of Plaksha. Notes: the common characteristics of all these 6 dweeps are listed below. The further characteristics unique to each of these dweeps are mentioned in the tables below. All these details are based on chapter 20, verses 1 to 33. That's what we're reading right now. Okay. So, common aspects of the 6 islands, dweeps. Structure. Jambudweep is surrounded by an ocean of salt water. The width of this ocean is the same as the diameter of Jambudweep. Okay. Similarly, the saltwater ocean is surrounded by the next dweep, Plaksha, which has a width double that of the saltwater ocean. All the 6 dweeps and their surrounding oceans form disc-like structures surrounding the previous one. Okay. Each successive dweep surrounds its previous ocean and is twice the width of the previous ocean. The ocean surrounding the dweep, remember dweep means island, is of the same width as the dweep. So, here's an example. I think this middle part is Jambudweep then, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And are these the different islands surrounding it? Yes, I think so. Yeah, so there's Jambudweep, and there's the salt ocean, which is twice the size. And then around the salt ocean are all these. Let's read on. Yeah, and then there's the saltwater ocean, the sugarcane juice ocean, then the liquor ocean. So we're going to read all about that. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, so the ocean surrounding the dweep is of the same width as the dweep. A special tree, plant, or mountain characterizes each dweep. By this item, each island derives its name. Okay, so see how there's all these different mountains, rivers, and what is it? Mountains, rivers, and special tree. Special tree, plant, or mountain characterizes each dweep. So there's all the dweeps surrounding. Okay, let's continue on. The rulers of each of these dweeps are the sons of Priyavrata Maharaj. There are 7 varshas for each of the first 5 dweeps. 7 parts in each. Oh, okay. Sorry. There are 7 varshas, 7 section parts in each of the first 5 dweeps, and only 2 in the last dweep, Pushkar Dweep. They are named according to the names of the sons of the rulers. Handing over the rule to their respective sons, the sons of Priyavrata retired for full engagement and devotional service. All right. Okay, so this is the mountain ranges and rivers of Plakshadweep and Shamali Dweep, which we're going to read about. Each of the first 5 dweeps have 7 mountains and 7 rivers, with beautifully decorated hermitages, enormous lakes with flowers and birds. In the last dweep, there is 1 mountain and 2 rivers. One can be free from material contamination by touching or bathing in those rivers. Okay, so see, this is one dweep, first island, and it has 7 mountains and rivers. And then there's the second dweep, and it also has 7 mountains and rivers. And then so on and so on. There are 4 castes of people living in those dweeps. The residents of the first 5 dweeps, beginning from Plakshadweep, all experience extraordinary longevity, sensory prowess, physical and mental strength, intelligence, and bravery. The inhabitants there worship the Supreme Lord in his aspect as a demigod: sun, moon, Agni, Varuna, Vayu, and Brahma. Okay. So then we read in So there's the island of Jambudvip, and it's surrounded by an ocean of salt water. And the rulers, the sons of Priyavrata, became the rulers of these dweeps. And then after those sons retired, the sons of Priyavrata, after the sons of Priyavrata retired, their sons became the rulers of the Varshas within the dweeps. So Priyavrata's son Agnidra, when he retired, he gave the islands. He gave the islands to Navi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavrita, Ramyaka, Hiranmay, Kuru, Bhadrashva, and Ketumala. So that's in Jambudvip, and we read all about that in detail. Then Plakshadvip, so that's Jambudvip, and then Plakshadvip, the one surrounding that, is surrounded by sugarcane juice. See, there's a sugarcane juice ocean right there. And the rulers, Idmajiva, he gave that to his 7 sons, Shiva, Yavasa, Subhadra, Shanta, Kshema, Amrita, and Abhaya. See, so they each got one of these mountains and rivers. All right. Then Shamalidvip is surrounded by an ocean of liquor. See, there's the liquor ocean. And the son of Priyavrata Yagyabahu, when he retired, he gave it to his 7 sons, Surochana, Somanasya, Ramanaka, Devavarsha, Paribhadra, Apyayan, and Avigyata. Then Kushadvip is surrounded by clarified butter. See, there's clarified butter. I guess that's the orange stuff. And so Hiranyareta gave that to his 7 sons. I'm not going to read their names anymore. Then Kronchadvip is surrounded by an ocean of milk. See, there's the milk ocean right there. And so I'm going through this too slow, aren't I? So then, what's his name? Priyavrata's son. He gave when he retired, he gave those to his 7 sons. The mountains and rivers and all those. Then there's Pushkardvip. There's Shakadvip, and that's surrounded by an ocean of emulsified yogurt. And so the son of Priyavrata made a titi, gave that to his 7 sons. Then at last, there's Pushkardvip, which is surrounded by an ocean of sweet drinking water. And Vitihotra gave that to his 2 sons, Ramanaka and Tatiki. So then we read, now we're reading the islands, that we just went through. We're reading about Plakshadvip, the 7 mountains, and the 7 rivers, and the 4 castes of each of these regions, on each of these islands. Okay, so we're reading the details. What's the name of this mountain, and the name of this river, and the 4 kinds of castes, the caste of people who live on this island, and so forth. That's what we read yesterday. And then we read about the tree on each one, the Plaksha tree, and then the prayer to the deity of the residents. So on Plakshadvip, there's the Plaksha tree, which is shining like gold and as tall as the Jambu tree, and its root is a fire with 7 flames. And then there's the prayer to the deity, Surya, the sun god. This is what the inhabitants pray. Let us take shelter of the sun god, who is a reflection of Lord Vishnu, the all-expanding Supreme Lord, the oldest of all persons. Vishnu is the only worshipable Lord. He is the Vedas, he is religion, and he is the origin of all auspicious and inauspicious results. And then Shamalidvip and Kushadvip, and there's prayers to the rulers of each, to Soma, to Agni, to Varuna, Vayu, Brahma. You can read these all in detail with this PDF that I have. If you don't have the PDF, let me know and I can send it to you. And we made it all the way up to Kronchadweep, I think, right? So we made it up. Where is Kronchadweep? We made it up to here. So right now we're going to read about Shakadweep, the Shaka tree, and the prayer to Vayu, and Pushkar-dweep, and then the prayer to Lord Brahma. Okay, that was a really long introduction. It's just because I couldn't do it yesterday, so we had to do 2 days worth of introduction. Okay. Evam purastat kshirodhat parita upaveshita shakadvipo dvatinshal laksha yojanayama samanena chadadi mandodena parito yasmin shako nama mahiruha sakshetra vyapadeshako yasya hamaha surabhi kandastam dvipam anuvasayati. So outside the ocean of milk is another island, Shakadweep, which has a width of 3,200,000 yojanas. That's 25,600,000 miles. As Kronchadweep is surrounded by its own ocean of milk, Shakadweep is surrounded by an ocean of churned yogurt as broad as the island itself. In Shakadweep, there is a big shaka tree from which the island takes its name. This tree is very fragrant. Indeed, it lends its scent to the entire island. Tasyapi prayavrata evadipatir namna medhatiti sopi vibhajya sapta varshani putra namani teshu satmajan purojava manojava pavamana dhumranika chitrarepa bahurupa vishwadhara sangyan nidhapyadipatin Swayam Bhagavat-ananta aveshtita matis tapovanam pravivesha. The master of this island, also one of the sons of Priyavrata, was known as Medhatiti. He also divided his island into 7 sections, named according to the names of his own sons, whom he made the kings of that island. The names of those sons are Purojava, Manojava, Pavamana, Dhumranika, Chitrarepa, Bahurupa, and Vishwadhara. After dividing the island and situating his sons as its rulers, Medhatiti personally retired, and to fix his mind completely upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he entered a forest suitable for meditation. Etesham varsha maryada girayo nadyash chasapta saptaiva ishana urushringo balabhadra shatakesara sahasra roto devapalo mahanasa iti anaghayurdha ubhayas prishtir aparajita panchapadi sahasra srutir nijadritir iti. For these islands also, there are 7 boundary mountains and 7 rivers. The mountains are Ishana, Urushringa, Balabhadra, Shatakesara, Sahasrasrota, Devapala, and Mahanasa. The rivers are Anagha, Ayurdha, Ubhayasprishti, Aparajita, Panchapadi, Sahasrashruti, and Nijadriti. Tadvarsha Purusha Ritavrata Satyavrata Danavrathanuvrata Namano Bhagavantam Vaivatmakam Pranayama Vidhuta Rajas Tamasa Parama Samadhina Yajante. The inhabitants of those islands are also divided into 4 castes: Ritavrata, Satyavrata, Danavrata, and Anuvrata, which exactly resemble Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. They practice pranayam and mystic yoga, and in trance they worship the Supreme Lord in the form of Vayu. Anta pravrisya bhutani yobhipartatmaketubhi antaryamishvara shakshat patu no yad vashe sputam. The inhabitants of Shakadweep worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Vayu in the following words: O Supreme Person, situated as a supersoul within the body. You direct the various actions of the different airs such as pran, and thus you maintain all living entities. O Lord, O supersoul of everyone, O controller of the cosmic manifestation under whom everything exists, may you protect us from all dangers. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Through the mystic yoga practice called pranayam, the yogi controls the airs within the body to maintain the body in a healthy condition. In this way, the yogi comes to the point of trance and tries to see the supersoul within the core of his heart. Pranayam is the means to attain samadhi, trance, in order to fully absorb oneself in seeing the Supreme Lord as Antaryami, the supersoul within the core of the heart. Evam eva dadi mandodat parata pushkaradipas tato dvigunayama samantata upakalpita samanena svadutakena samudrena bahir avrito yasmin brihat pushkaram jwalana shikamala kanaka patrayutayutam bhagavata kamalasanasyadhyasanam parikalpitam. Outside the ocean of yogurt is another island, known as Pushkar-dvīp, which is 6,400,000 yojanas, 51,200,000 miles wide. Twice as wide as the ocean of yogurt. It is surrounded by an ocean of very tasteful water as broad as the island itself. On Pushkar-dvīp there is a great lotus flower with 100 million pure golden petals, as effulgent as the flames of fire. That lotus flower is considered the sitting place of Lord Brahma, who is the most powerful living being and who is therefore sometimes called Bhagavan. Tadvipamadye manasottara namaika eva vachina parachina varshayor maryadha chalo yuta yojano chrayayamo yatra tu chatara srishu dikshu Chatvari Purani Lokapalanam Indradinam Yat Uparishtat Surya Rathasya Merum Paribhramata Samvatsaratmakam Chakram Devanam Aho Ratrabhyam Paribhramati. So remember, that's the last island, and there's only two, right? In the middle of that island is a great mountain named Manasottara, which forms the boundary between the inner side and the outer side of the island. Its breadth and height are 10,000 yojanas, 80,000 miles. On that mountain, in the four directions, are the residential quarters of the demigods, such as Indra. In the chariot of the sun god, the sun travels on the top of the mountain in an orbit called Samvatsara, encircling Mount Meru. The sun's path on the northern side is called Uttarayan, and its path on the southern side is called Dakshinayan. One side represents a day for the demigods, and the other represents their night. Purport. The movement of the sun is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 552. Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sampritakala Chakra. The sun orbits around Mount Sumeru for 6 months on the northern side and for 6 months on the southern. This adds up to the duration of a day and night of the demigods and the upper planetary systems. Tadvipasyapyadipati prayavrato vitihotro namaitasyaatmajo ramanaka dhatiki namano varshapati niyuja swaswayam purvajavar bhagavat karma shila evaste. The ruler of this island, the son of Maharaj Priyavrata named Vitihotra, had two sons named Ramanaka and Dhatiki. He granted the two sides of the islands to these sons, and then personally engaged himself in activities for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like his elder brother Medhatiti. So this is the last island, the seventh island, the most outer island. and that only all the other islands had 7 mountains and rivers, but this one only has 2. He granted the 2 sides of the island to these 2 sons in personal engagement. Okay. Tadvarsha Purusha Bhagavantam Brahma Rupinam Sakarmakena Karmanaradhyadidam Chodaharanti. For the fulfillment of material desires, the inhabitants of this tract of land worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead as represented by Lord Brahma. They offer prayers to the Lord as follows. Yat tat karma mayam lingam brahma lingam janor chajet ekantam advayam shantam tasmai bhagavate nama iti. Lord Brahma is known as Karma Maya, the form of ritualistic ceremonies, because by performing ritualistic ceremonies, one may attain his position, and because the Vedic ritualistic hymns become manifest from him. He is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, and therefore, in one sense, he is not different from the Lord. Nevertheless, he should be worshipped not as the monists worship him, but in duality. One should always remain a servitor of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Worshipable Deity. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Brahma, the form of manifest Vedic knowledge. Purport. In this verse, the word karma mayam, obtainable by the Vedic ritualistic system, is significant. The Vedas say swadharma nishta shatajanmibhi puman virinchatam eti. One who strictly follows the principles of varnashram dharma for at least 100 births will be rewarded with the post of Lord Brahma. It is also significant that although Lord Brahma is extremely powerful, he never thinks himself one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He always knows that he is an eternal servitor of the Lord. Because the Lord and the servant are identical on the spiritual platform, Brahma is herein addressed as Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, but if a devotee serves him with full faith, the meaning of the Vedic literature is revealed to him. Therefore, Brahma is called Brahma Linga, which indicates that his entire form consists of Vedic knowledge. Tata. Alright, so wait 1 second. Okay, so we now Shukadeva Goswami is describing the remaining land of Bhū-maṇḍala beyond these 7 dweeps. Okay. Tata parastal Lokāloka namachalo Lokālokayor antarale parita upakshipta. Thereafter, beyond the ocean of sweet water and fully surrounding it, is a mountain named Lokāloka, which divides the countries that are full of sunlight from those not lit by the sun. Wait a second. There's a mountain named Lokāloka which divides the countries that are full of sunlight from those not lit by the sun. Okay. Yavan Manasotara Mervor Antaram Tavati Bhumi Kanchanyanyadarsha Talopama Yasyam Prahita Padartho Nakatanchit Puna Pratyupalabhyate Tasmat Sarva Sattva Parihritasit. Beyond the ocean of sweet water is a tract of land as broad as the area between the middle of Mount Sumeru and the boundary of Manasotara mountain. In that tract of land there are many living beings. Beyond it, extending to Lokāloka mountain, is another land which is made of gold. Because of its golden surface, it reflects light like the surface of a mirror, and any physical article that falls on that land can never be perceived again. All living entities therefore have abandoned that golden land. Interesting. Lokāloka iti samakhya yad anena chalena Lokālokasyantavar Tinavasta Pyate. Between the lands inhabited by living entities and those that are uninhabited, between the lands inhabited by living entities and those that are uninhabited, stands the great mountain which separates the two, and which is therefore celebrated as Lokāloka. Saloka Trayante Parita Ishvarena Vihito Yasmat Suryadinam Dhruva Pavarganam Jyotir Gananam Gabhastayor Vachinangs Tril Lokan Avatinvana Nakadachit Parachina Bhavitum Utsahante Tavar Un Nahanayama. By the supreme will of Krishna, the mountain known as Lokāloka has been installed as the outer border of the three worlds, Bhū-loka, Bhū-maṇḍala, and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, to control the rays of the sun throughout the universe. All the luminaries from the sun up to Dhruva-loka distribute their rays throughout the three worlds, but only within the boundary formed by this mountain. Because it is extremely high, extending even higher than Dhruva-loka, it blocks the rays of the luminaries, which therefore can never extend beyond it. Purport. When we speak of Lokatraya, we refer to the three primary planetary systems, Bhu, Bhuva, and Swa, into which the universe is divided. Surrounding these planetary systems are the 8 directions, namely east, west, north, south, northeast, southeast, northwest, and southwest. Lokāloka mountain has been established as the outer boundary of all the lokas to distribute the rays of the sun and other luminaries equally throughout the universe. This vivid description of how the rays of the sun are distributed throughout the different planetary systems of the universe is very scientific. Shukadeva Goswami described these universal affairs to Maharaj Parikshit as he had heard about them from his predecessor. He explained these facts 5,000 years ago, but the knowledge existed long, long before, because Shukadeva Goswami received it through disciplic succession. Because this knowledge is accepted through the disciplic succession, it is perfect. The history of modern scientific knowledge, on the contrary, does not go back more than a few hundred years. Therefore, even if modern scientists do not accept the other factual presentations of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, how can they deny the perfect astronomical calculations that existed long before they could imagine such things? There is so much information to gather from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Modern scientists, however, have no information of other planetary systems and, indeed, are hardly conversant with the planet on which we are now living. Etaval loka vinyasa mana lakshana sangstavir vichintita kavibhir satu panchasat koti ganitasya bhugolasya turiya bhagoyam Lokāloka-chala. Learned scholars who are free from mistakes, illusions, and propensities to cheat have thus described the planetary systems and their particular symptoms, measurements, and locations. With great deliberation, they have established the truth that the distance between Sumeru and the mountain known as Lokāloka is 1/4 of the diameter of the universe, or in other words, 125 million yojanas, 1 billion miles. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given accurate astronomical information about the location of Lokāloka mountain, the movements of the sun globe, and the distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe. However, the technical terms used in the astronomical calculations given by the Jyotir Veda are difficult to translate into English. Therefore, to satisfy the reader, we may include the exact Sanskrit statement given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which records exact calculations regarding universal affairs. Oh my God, I cannot read all that. I'm sorry, this is way too long. I'll read the first line. Sa tu lokalokas tu bhū-golokasya bhū-sambandhanda golokasyetan artha. Golokasyetartha, yeah. Okay, but I'm not going to read all that. It's the first time I'm skipping a part of a purport, but this is just too much. Okay. Tar uparishchach chatasrishvashavatma yoni nakila jagar gurunadhiniveshita ye dvirada pataya rishabha pushkara chudo vamano parajita iti sakala loka stiti hetava. On the top of Lokāloka mountain are the 4 Gajapatis, the best of elephants, which were established in the 4 directions by Lord Brahma, the supreme spiritual master of the entire universe. The names of those elephants are Rishabha, Pushkarachuda, Vamana, and Aparajita. They are responsible for maintaining the planetary systems of the universe. We have to watch a video after this is over. How many verses are left? 46. Okay, 6 more verses left. Tesham svavibhutinam lokapalanam cha vivida viryopa brahmanaya Bhagavan parama mahapurusha mahavibhutir patir antaramyatmano vishuddha sattvam dharma jnana vairagyashvaryadashta mahasiddhupalakshanam विश्वक्सेनाधिपि स्वपार्षद प्रवराय परिवारितो निजवारायुधोपशोभितार निज भुज दंडाय संधरायमानस तस्मिन् गिरिवरे समन्तात सकललोक स्वस्तया आस्ते. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of all transcendental opulences and the master of the spiritual sky. He is the Supreme Person, Bhagavan, the super soul of everyone. The demigods led by Indra, the king of heaven, are entrusted with seeing to the affairs of the material world. To benefit all living beings in all the varied planets, and to increase the power of those elephants and of the demigods. The Lord manifests himself on the top of that mountain in a spiritual body, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. Surrounded by his personal expansions and assistants like Vishvaksena, he exhibits all his perfect opulences, such as religion and knowledge, and his mystic powers, such as Anima, Laghima, and Mahima. He is beautifully situated, and he is decorated by the different weapons in his 4 hands. Akalpam evam vesham gata esha bhagavan atma yogamayaya virachita vividha loka yatra gopi yate tartha. The various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Narayan and Vishnu, are beautifully decorated with different weapons. The Lord exhibits those forms to maintain all the varied planets created by his personal potency, Yoga Maya. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 4.6, Lord Krishna says, Sambhavamyatmamayaya. I appear in my internal potency. The word Atmamaya refers to the Lord's personal potency, Yogamaya. After creating both the material world and spiritual world through Yogamaya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally maintains them by expanding himself in different categories, as the Vishnu Murtis and the demigods. He maintains the material creation from beginning to end, and he personally maintains the spiritual world. Yontar vistara etena hyaloka parimanam chavyakyatam yar bahir Lokāloka chalat tata parastar yogeshvara gatin vishuddham udhar haranti. My dear king, outside Lokāloka mountain is a tract of land known as Aloka-varṣa, which extends for the same breadth as the arena. Aloka-varṣa, which extends for the same breadth as the area within the mountain. In other words, 125 million yojanas, 1 billion miles. Beyond Aloka-varṣa is the destination of those who aspire for liberation from the material world. It is beyond the jurisdiction of the material modes of nature, and therefore it is completely pure. Lord Krishna took Arjuna through this place to bring back the sons of the Brahman. Anda madhya gatha suryo dyav abhuyor yadantaram suryanda golayor madhe kotyasyu panchabinshati. Okay, so now we are reading prayers to the sun, the glories of the sun. Yes. The sun is situated vertically in the middle of the universe, in the area between Bhū-loka and Bhū-maṇḍala, which is called Antariksha, outer space. The distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe is 25 koti yojanas, 2 billion miles. Purport. The word koti means 10 million, and a yojana is 8 miles. The diameter of the universe is 50 koti yojanas, 4 billion miles. Therefore, since the sun is in the middle of the universe, the distance between the sun and the edge of the universe is calculated to be 25 koti yojanas, 2 billion miles. Mritenda esha etasmin yar abhut tato. One second, just need to stretch. Okay, sorry. Martanda iti vyapadesha hiranya garba iti yar dhiranyanda samudbhava. Let me make sure that it's still live. Okay, thank God. The sun globe is also known as Vairaja, the total material body for all living entities. Because he entered this dull egg of the universe at the time of creation, he is also called Martanda. He is also known as Hiranyagarbha because he received his material body from Hiranyagarbha, Lord Brahma. Purport. The post of Lord Brahma is meant for very highly elevated, spiritually advanced living entities. When such living beings are unavailable, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expands himself as Lord Brahma. This takes place very rarely. Consequently, there are two kinds of Brahma. Sometimes Brahma is an ordinary living entity, and at other times Brahma is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahma spoken of here is an ordinary living being. Whether Brahma is the Supreme Personality of Godhead or an ordinary living being, he is known as Vairaja Brahma and Hiranyagarbha Brahma. Therefore, the sun god is also accepted as Vairaja Brahma. Okay, two last verses. Surena hi vibhajante dishakam dhyor mahi bidha Svargapavargo naraka raso kangshi chasarvasha. O king, the sun god and the sun planets divide all the directions of the universe. It is only because of the presence of the sun that we can understand what the sky, the higher planets, this world, and the lower planets are. It is also only because of the sun that we can understand which places are for material enjoyment, which are for liberation, and which are hellish and subterranean. It is only because of the sun that we can understand which places are for material enjoyment, which are for liberation, and which are hellish and subterranean. Okay, this is the last verse. Devatiryan manushyanam sarisripa savirudam sarvajiva nikayanam surya atma dirgishvara. All living entities, including demigods, human beings, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, creepers, and trees, depend upon the heat and light given by the sun god from the sun planet. Furthermore, It is because of the sun's presence that all living entities can see, and therefore he is called the Drig Ishvara, the personality of Godhead presiding over sight. Purport. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Surya Atma Atma Tvenopasya. The actual life and soul of all living entities within this universe is the sun. He is therefore Upasya, worshipable. We worship the sun god by chanting the Gayatri mantra, Om Bhur Bhuvasva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Surya is the life and soul of this universe, and there are innumerable universes for which the sun god is the life and soul, just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the life and soul of the entire creation. We have information that Vairaja, Hiranyagarbha, entered the great dull material globe called the sun. This indicates that the theory held by so-called scientists that no one lives there is wrong. Bhagavad Gita also says that Krishna first instructed Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavam ahamavyayam, Bhagavad Gita 4.1. Therefore, the sun is not vacant. It is inhabited by living entities, and the predominating deity is Vairaja, or Vivasvan. The difference between the sun and the earth is that the sun is a fiery planet, but everyone there has a suitable body and can live there without difficulty. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 20th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Studying the Structure of the Universe. In chapter 21, we'll read about the movements of the sun. Alright. I'll sing my mantra, do Jadvani, then maybe we can watch a YouTube video for anyone who wants to stay and watch it with a 3D explanation of all this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhari Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gokisharas Babadi Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babadi Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Pata Raghunath. Shri Jeev Gopal Pata Dashraghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namachay Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra-mandala, Gaura-mandala, Vraja-mandala, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Bharati Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta
So at the bottom of the planetary display,
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhyai Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Dandavat Pranams. Alright, so for any of those who want to stay for this, I'm going to play a 3D what do you call it? Presentation, exhibition of the. This is actually a 3D model of the Vedic planetarium, the TOVP, which is being built in Mayapur. Since Srila Prabhupada laid the foundation stone for it, so this is, and finally it's going to be finished, I think, within a couple years. But yeah, this is an explanation of the whole planetary system that we're reading about. So let me make this big. How do I do that? Hey. Okay. I'm going to unplug my mic.
we have Shesha holding up the earth. This is
Wait, it didn't start from the beginning. 1 second. There, okay.
So at the bottom of the planetary display, we have Shesha holding up the earth. This is Shesha, the empowered incarnation. There we have Ananta speaking Bhāgavatam to the 4 Kumaras, and above, the 7 subterranean planets. Here we can see Jambudvīpa, the central island of Bhū-maṇḍala, and Bharat-varsha is situated on the southern side of that. There's 8 other varshas with Aloka-varṣa in the center, various supporting mountains with large trees upon them, described in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In the very center of Aloka-varṣa is Mount Meru, a golden mountain. Atop Mount Meru are the cities of important demigods, Lord Brahma in the center, the 8 Dikpalas in the cardinal directions and sub-directions. Moving out, we can see the broader Bhū-maṇḍala, 7 concentric islands and oceans surrounding them. The 7th of these islands is Pushkara-dvīpa. On that island is Manasotra mountain, and on the mountain there's various cities of demigods such as Indra. Out further is Lokāloka mountain. These large elephants stand atop Lokāloka mountain to balance Bhū-maṇḍala. Outside of Lokāloka mountain is Aloka-varṣa, which is dark. The rays of the sun and the other luminaries extend up to Lokāloka mountain. On Manasotra mountain here on Pushkara-dvīpa, the sun travels above this mountain at the southernmost point of its annual orbit. Above Bhū-maṇḍala is Bhuvarloka, which is the residence of the Charanas, Siddhas, Yakshas, Gandharvas, and above there is Swargaloka, beginning from the sun and extending up to the pole star Dhruvaloka. This is the moving part of the planetary display. Here we can see the sun and the moon moving in their chariots. The chariots are being drawn by horses moving in the anti-clockwise direction, but they're traveling with the wheel of time, moving in the clockwise direction faster, so it looks as if they're moving backwards. Above them, the zodiac of stars, more planets, and another realm of stars. So here we can see everything moving with the Kala Chakra, circumambulating the axis that connects Mount Meru with Dhruvaloka. Above these planets, we come to the planet of the 7 sages, the Saptarshi. You can see them here. They're commonly known as the Big Dipper, and then Dhruva-loka, the pole star. On the ocean of milk situated there, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the Paramatma within everyone's heart, he resides on Anantashesh. Moving up beyond there, we have Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. In this video, we haven't included many of the details for there, but on Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, we have residences of the Lord, such as Lord Varaha, Lord Vamana, and so on. Here's Brahmaloka, and on Brahmaloka, we also have a form of the Lord Garbhodakshaya Vishnu as the Sahasrashirsha Purush. Beyond there is the 7 coverings of the universe, earth, water, fire, etc. And outside of the universes is the abode of Lord Shiva, Shiva-loka. There he resides eternally. Beyond Shiva-loka, we come to Mahavishnu, Karanodakashaya Vishnu, with innumerable universes that are emanating from the pores of his transcendental body. Here you can see him being served by Rama Devi. Then we come to the Brahmajyoti, the effulgence of the Lord's transcendental body. Penetrating through the Brahmajyoti, we come to the Vaikuntha planets. We're showing 24 planets of the Vaikuntha realm in this model. The Lord with 4 arms is holding the conch, disc, club, and lotus, and the various combinations of those 4 make 24. Then we come to Goloka Vrindavan. Here we can see Radha Madhava, but we'll also be showing the other primary rasas. Krishna with the cowherd boys, Krishna being served, Krishna with Mother Yashoda. So this is an overview of the planetary display to be shown in the main dome of the temple.
Alright, so that was it. Haribol. Haribol, Dandavat Pranams. See you all tomorrow.